What is up, everybody? I'm Skratch. Welcome to the channel. This is a Dragonheir Silent Gods video, and today I'm not alone, guys. I got my good buddy Arsalan on the channel today. That's why I don't even have the cam here. We're gonna keep the screen clean. We're gonna talk about legendary champions, guys, because I know a lot of you guys are constantly asking in the comments, Skratch, can you do a top on legendary champions? And you know what? I've got the right man for the job right here. Make sure you guys head over and check out his channel. I'm gonna link the link in the description down below and in the pinned comments. What's up, Arsalan? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing well, bro. How are you?
Yeah, doing great, man. You're pretty early here, you know, pretty late for you. Just having my cup of coffee, you know. Just
Yeah. And I'm finishing up my quest in Dragonheir.
Yeah, that's good. I need to start this. I need to start because I didn't have a chance to do it yet. But the way we're going to do this, guys, because we have quite a few legendary champions, we're not going to be able to go over and review every single one of them for you guys. And I know we do have the tier list as well, which is up and running. But as an idea, we're going to start by doing two elements in today's video. And we're going to have a few more videos coming in the next couple of days. Now, we're going to have the fire element on my channel. We're going to talk about the legendaries. Then if you head over to Arsalan's channel, we're going to have the poison element there. So make sure you do that. Then the next video will be pretty much the same. We're gonna do Frost on my channel, or Necrosis, and the other one on his channel as well, you know. So definitely stay tuned for it, because we're gonna split a bit of videos like this to don't keep them too long, so you guys can actually get to digest the information properly. And we're gonna start with the fire, Arsalan. You know what? I feel a bit fiery today. I've got some fire in me.
Fire champions are one of the strongest in PvE. If you've seen the beta records, most of the records were made with the fire and wild team.
Yeah.
So they are pretty powerful in PvE. Overall, in PvP, they are not doing so well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a look at the first one, Gorika.
Yeah.
Gorika is somebody who was buffed in beta because she was so trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I remember her from the beta when they've done the very first banner summoning event, you know, and I was like, okay, she looked decentish as a tank, but she wasn't doing that much. I remember decreased accuracy and other stuff, but yeah, it definitely seems like she's a bit better now, yeah.
Yeah, she used to be somebody like, there were people who were playing her in PvP, but early on, but later on, nobody used her. And still, I feel like even though she's a decent legendary now, like if you have her and like you have some epic support, you can use her in PvE, even in PvP. She's overall a good support unit, but she still lacks down. So if you look at her passive, she gains an ultimate energy by 10%. Whenever an enemy gains a buff, and whenever inflicting debuff reduces 25% ultimate energy. So in PvP, you really need this skill. This passive comes in really handy because she can put up her own debuffs, and reducing the ultimate energy means that you go first. It's like in raid, reducing the turn meter. So this is a very powerful passive. And when we look at her battle skill, like she is doing fire damage, accuracy penalty in a small area. So it's a 3x3 tile range.
Yep.
It's an okay battle skill. I mean, accuracy penalty doesn't really do much in
Arena.
in PvP.
Yeah, like you're not gonna have like very high resistance heroes here and stuff. At least from what I've seen so far, and even in the beta, I don't recall to have like very high resistance. And a quick question here, because maybe you know it, maybe you look more into it. I'm seeing that even though you have a very high amount of resistance, you don't really know how much accuracy a boss will have, for example. So it shows you if you have 10 resistance, you need 30 accuracy or so to have a higher chance. But I'm very curious if it's a way to kind of like see how much resistance I need in order to resist their accuracy. You know, like I can't find that anywhere, and I'm so curious. Maybe you know. This is a bit off topic, guys.
Yeah. It's in beta we tested it. So when El Cibre was one of the top champions, and the only way to counter her was having like another resist champion. And yeah, even we don't know how it works fully. It also has a 3% chance, similar to what Raid has.
Ah, okay, so they have the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not 100% even if no matter the differences. So there's like the same concept of the way the Raid has with a curve.
I think
they have a similar system from my experience, but
unless it feels like it.
Get hold of it. Yeah, we don't know.
And what do you think about the battle skill? grants the accuracy bonus. Now, again, it kind of like puts us in the same situation, right? Because you might not have that high resistance anyway, you know, so the accuracy bonus won't necessarily be an important thing.
In early game, like this is actually useful because when you're not when your psychic core is not fully maxed, you don't have accuracy bonus from the affinity bonuses. It can work well early game, but later game it's just it's a useless thing. The buff prohibition is good, especially against if you are facing an enemy team which has buffs, or in when you're fighting the what is it called, the curse dungeon.
Yeah.
It puts up a buff, and even when you're fighting ancient battlefields, you will face against a dwarf that puts up a defense up buff and damage bonus buff. So it's a good skill to have. And its initial recharge time is one of the lowest. So if you see like
16 seconds,
yeah, so it's pretty low. It's compared to like the only other champion I know is Vinyara, who has this low recharge time for a skill.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Very good.
Yeah, so she will go very quickly, and it's good against bosses who buffs themselves, or against a PvP team that you will face against. But the problem with her, and I will make a disclaimer here, when we make a legendary review, it's a standalone legendary, assuming that you have a fire team.
Yeah, of course.
If you don't have a fire team, don't use any of the champions.
Yeah, it's very important, guys, compared to other games, because this is not a game where you're just going to put in a champion and it's going to solo the content for you, you know? You really need to build a team around them, really make the most out of the element. You see, like, you have the Dauntless heroes buffing their attack speed and stuff just to help each other with the basic skills. Then you have the Wild heroes increasing their chances to proc that Wild, you know? So you got to keep that in consideration for every freaking element. You have the Frost. You need to have the Frost debuff for others to do extra damage, or crazy things like this. Is very important to pay attention and combo them right, you know. 100%.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right, so we have Erich, the free champion. Everybody will get him probably in the next week, I think. We're gonna complete all the content, everybody, right? That is kind of like locked. Yeah. I've got it in the beta, but for the rest of the people, I know you got it in the beta as well, most probably too.
Yeah, I also got him in the beta. I actually have him fully maxed now.
You have him? Oh, nice.
So I have him like fully inspired. He's actually a good damage dealer. If you're building him, you want attack percentage chests, attack percentage gloves, or crit damage gloves. He's a wild hero, so all the wild heroes have this particular chance where if they have a success, they do 30% more damage on their skills. 120% of the damage.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good to have. He's a good damage dealer, but he's only good if you are in a Flora team, because his ultimate hits 5 times at random. So in a Flora team, when you're fighting a one-off boss, all hits will go on that one boss. Then it's good. Otherwise, he's a decent damage dealer, nothing too special, in my opinion.
I actually started building him recently for my team in the Goblin. I need another champion that deals AoE, and I need a fire one or a poison. I don't have a poison, so he's kind of like my only option, so I don't lose the affinity bonus, you know. I'm curious to see if he's gonna be able to keep up the step with the other heroes that I'm using. I'm not gonna have him tomed or scrolled, you know, so that's gonna be a bit of an issue, because he gets quite a bit of extra damage from there too.
Yeah, scrolls I feel like are an issue for everybody. We have tons of legendary and too little scrolls. But yeah, he's subpar. Like, his damage by himself is okay. Like, if you're using a wild team without Flora also, like, he can be really good. Especially if you have somebody like Alfie who provides this area where wild checks is successful every time. Yeah. So he can do some good damage there. But otherwise, he's an okay champion.
So you have a bit of AoE. I've seen you using him in the Temporal Vortex with your wild team, and he wasn't necessarily doing a lot of damage compared to the other ones, because he was kind of like the lowest actually in terms of damage.
Yeah,
when
we come to the next champion, I'll explain why his ultimate is so good.
Okay,
because
so
you really need him in that Flora comp. So his ultimate hits like 5 times, and that's what we really need. We need multi-hitters when we are talking about Flora.
Okay.
And and Flora is the queen. So if we move to Flora,
Yeah, I'm a Flora, ready to rumble on her aura.
so she has first of all, she has a great aura. It's a
Yep.
30% attack in all battles, so you don't have to worry about what content you're doing. And all of us basic skills and her passive is the biggest thing. So every time an ally launches a successful vial, the familiar will auto unleash a fireball. And this is really important because
I see. It's gonna count for every hit, huh?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it by itself, her passive wouldn't deal too much damage. It's her battle skill is nothing too special either. Familiar unleashes 2 fireballs. But it's her ultimate that really is the source of all the biggest runs that we've seen in Vortex. So when she does her ultimate, she creates this fire whirlpool that lasts for 10 seconds. And during that 10 seconds, you want all your wild units to unleash their multi-hitting ultimates. And with each of these ultimates, her passive kicks in, and that derivative damage just keeps going and going. I've seen hits at the late game that just derivative damage alone accounts for like 300,000 damage per hit.
Oh wow! So you build her, you give her enlightenment and stuff when you build this hero.
Yeah. So any champion that you see which deals derivative damage, you want, instead of attack percentage chest, you going to get enlightenment chest and attack percentage gloves. You don't want any crit because as you can read, the additional damage from derivative never
that cannot
is critical.
crit,
Yeah. So we just want as much attack and enlightenment on her as possible.
That's awesome, dude. Like I want her really bad, you know, like.
Yeah.
She's just so good.
She's on the most wanted list for everybody. She is the queen of PvE.
She just PvP, looks so freaking awesome as well, though. Yeah,
her graphics are amazing. The design that the developers have put in to this champion is amazing.
Yeah, 100%. Dude. Like it gives me the Game of Thrones sort of vibe somehow. I don't know, with the dragon and stuff looks so awesome.
Yeah. In PvE, she sucks. I'm gonna tell you now.
In PvP, you mean, huh?
Yeah, in PvP, she's really bad. Arena, if you're doing, you want AoE damage dealers.
Yeah.
And the opponents don't have high enough max HP that derivative damage comes into play.
Yep. Definitely agree on that, yeah.
But she is the queen. You can, in the end game PvE, she can do 12 seconds stage 9 any dungeon.
Oh wow, that's very good. Yeah.
So she is basically the queen.
100%. So we all want her on the list, guys. Flora. Then this guy, dude, like Chrysos. He's so good for arena. Like I got soloed the other day by this guy because I couldn't kill him. The shield and the healing that he was constantly getting back was so freaking annoying. I had 3 heroes, bro. 3 heroes, and I was not able to kill him. Okay, that was so annoying actually. But yeah, this is another awesome champion, and I do think he's very strong for PvP. Huh? What do you think?
Yeah, he's good for PvP. The problem with him is that he's an element that cannot be used in PvP because most of the fire units are mainly built for PvE. But he by himself is actually pretty decent. He has this shield self-healing capability of a tank.
Yeah,
is always appreciated. You don't need a healer for one particular tank, and he has this passive where he puts whenever his shield is depleted or dispelled, he heals himself.
Yeah.
And he is actually part of the Vortex comp. So he's only one of the few fire legendaries that we had in beta that was able to put out the attack penalty, and he also gives this massive shield to the allies, which protects your team. He's pretty decent. If they release new champions for fire element that are strong in PvP, he will be the top contender for the tank.
Yeah, he's just very good. Yeah, like I felt like I don't think that guy had a full fire team. I can't really recall it, but just my experience with what I encountered, you know, I was like, okay, this hero, man. But yeah,
early game is that's why fun, like because you get to experiment with so many things. Later game, once your psyche core unlocks those 5 elemental bonuses, then it becomes like, okay, you have to use the 5 elements. You have to use the 5 champions of the same elemental group. But his ultimate also dispels enemy shield. There is a NPC challenge that will come in. or if you're playing Grave of Curse and he puts up his shield as well. So you can counter him with him as well. He will dispel the shield.
Mm-hmm.
Because in this game, shield is not counted as a buff. It's a separate thing entirely.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing that I was gonna mention, because I only found out before the release now recently when we were talking with the Odd and Sky. We were doing the tier list, and that's when I found out that the shield actually counts as a different sort of a buff, and the same with the crowd control debuffs. They count as different control debuffs. Yeah, so it's a bit different in the game.
So you need like a debuff immunity, and then there's something called as control immunity. So it makes the things more interesting. You cannot counter everything with one champion.
100%. Yeah, that is a good thing. Yeah. And moving over to Felicity.
Yeah, Felicity is a very subpar legendary in my opinion.
She's a crit damage aura in all battles. Pretty good, 30%.
Yeah, but the problem is like a lot of the units we build, especially in PvE, for example, we don't really need crit damage. We mostly need either attack percentage aura, or in some cases we need accuracy if the boss has too much resistance. Yeah, or we go with enlightenment aura when we'll talk about the poison team. There are champions with enlightenment aura.
Yeah.
But crit damage is very rarely used. If she was a lightning hero, then crit damage aura would make sense because you need a lot of crit on those.
Yeah.
Her passive skill, when a basic attack or a battle skill triggers a critical hit, it increases the hero's ultimate energy by 5%. It's a good passive. But like I said, like in Vile Team, you need these multi-hitting ultimates.
Yeah.
If you don't have a Flora, you can still use her. Her ultimate is actually pretty good. But it is dependent upon this wild check. So if you're using her, you need somebody who provides higher success for the wild.
Makes sense, yeah. And she doesn't really.
Overall, she's okay.
She doesn't really bring like any crazy things in her kit. Like the multipliers don't seem that wild to say like this, you know. So yeah.
They're not as wild.
They're not as wild, you know. But that's Felicity, guys. She's kind of like a bit more average compared to the previous ones that we just checked before, and it's not like she cannot be used. She can be used, but don't expect her to do much on her own, you know. Dork. This was one of the very first few legendary heroes that I've seen in the game, and when I started playing.
Yeah,
he does look pretty cool for a dwarf, dude. Like I love the gun in his hand. It looks so sick, you know. Like they've done such an amazing job with the graphics.
Yeah, no, he is actually pretty amazing, and this is one of the few champions in the game that if you have more duplicates of, really rises to the occasion. I have countered end game arena comps when El Cibre was like on her roll in beta, and when you max him out, his ultimate is decreased further by 5 seconds. So his initial ultimate goes for 5 seconds earlier. And his ultimate is pretty strong, but we are going to get to that after this passive skill. When the hero skill deals damage to enemy within 3 tiles of itself, the damage is increased by 50%. So this is one of those, in Raid we have this buffer, debuffer and damage champion, attack-based debuffers. So he's like that. He hits pretty hard. You can one-shot enemy teams in PvP with him. His ultimate is pretty strong. His battle skill deals 280% attack fire damage to enemies within range, and he inflicts blind. Blind is a debuff which is a control debuff which does not allow the basic attacks to hit you. And he does attack penalty too, which is really good for all dungeons. You cannot go wrong with that.
Yeah, 100%.
And then reduces their target ultimate energy by 10%, which is also pretty good.
Yep.
And his ultimate is what is really good. It deals accuracy penalty, but that's not the main point. It also reduces the ultimate energy by 50%.
Oh wow, that's massive actually.
Yeah, and with 100% chance of inflicting stun. So when you're inflicted with stun, your ultimate energy gauge does not move. So first he decreases it by 50%, and then it does not move for another 5 seconds, which is pretty strong in arena. And the biggest issue with him is that 3 tile range. So if you put him in in your defense, you can simply counter him by placing the champions outside of that 3-tile range. So he will never ultimate you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this game, any champion that has this kind of ultimates, which is just affecting this 3-tile whole range, and if there are no enemies there, they don't even ultimate.
I see. So that's a bit annoying. Yeah. Now, of course, if they're not gonna use just AOE, just long range heroes.
Yeah.
They cannot dodge it. Eventually, they will have a champion to move to your tank or something, you know. But
no. Even if they do move, in beta at least, it didn't happen.
Oh wow! So it was like a bug or something then.
So the original position is what mattered. I have to test him in season 1. I haven't got around to build him yet, if that works or not. But in beta, if the original position was not within those 3 tiles, no matter whether Hull Dork moved or the enemy champions moved, it didn't trigger.
I see. Interesting. Then we have Rash. This is a new one, right? I don't remember him from the beta. He does look freaking awesome, huh? Look at the hog on his shoulder. Like he's not messing around. This dude is ready to get some killing. You know. What do you think about this one?
He's a mutated hunter. So I played with him early on, and till we had the reset available, I was testing everybody. He's underwhelming.
Is he?
I found him, like, if you use in a Flora comp, he's underwhelming. But if outside of Flora comp, he's still a decent damage dealer. If you have him or Felicity, and if you have a choice, you can build him. He will dish out more damage, consistent damage. His passive has this effect of a new effect called Heartfire Wildness, and it basically has some additional effects which does more damage to the enemy.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, it's capped at 10 stacks and only will be dispelled after the duration is over. The hero's wild check automatically succeeds, and the ultimate skill has extra effects. So it's pretty strong when in PvE mostly, when you're fighting bosses and everything. Except when you're in a Flora comp. If you have a Flora comp, there are epics that are better than him. That's the sad part. But by himself, he in a wild comp without Flora, he does dish out a lot of damage, from what I've seen.
So they kind of like design him to be a bit played around differently than most of the other wild. Then like. Yeah,
because with him you don't really need like somebody like Alfie to boost the wild success rate. He can boost his own wild success rate.
Yeah.
With this Heartfire thing, and his ultimate hits pretty hard. So he shoots a powerful arrow at the enemy. With 800% attack
that's good,
multiplier.
Actually,
yeah. So if the hero has Heartfire when casting, the damage is increased by 30%. So it hits pretty hard from what I've seen. By himself, he can hit pretty hard, better than Felicity, but not one of the best new heroes in the game.
Gotcha.
Fire heroes.
Gotcha. So guys, the reason why I got Arslan on this is because he has access to most of the legendary heroes. He's played most of them, and how you may see, and maybe you've seen in the beta if you played, he was always at the top of the leaderboards. So he does have a lot of experience with most of these champions and the team comps. I personally haven't played that many legendaries. I do have like 8 of them on my account, but definitely none of the new ones,
Yeah,
and
I'm only missing one legendary, which is Krishna.
Oh, okay, nice. That's awesome then.
Yeah, I have never pulled him since beta days. He's a beta champion.
Oh wow! So that Pokemon doesn't wanna join your Pokédex.
Yeah.
Then we have Dork. What do you think about
this
Dork?
one?
He's new as well, right?
Yeah, he's new as well, and he's probably one of my favorites these days. So I've been testing him a lot in Vortex, and I've built him. I'm still using him. He has an amazing passive. So hero takes 30% less fire damage. I don't know if any particular boss does specifically fire damage, but it works in Vortex. And even though that is a lightning boss, I'm not sure how it's coded in the game, but it works in Vortex.
That's strange.
But the second part of the passive is like really good. So whenever he takes the fire damage, there's a 30% chance of increasing the ultimate energy of the surrounding allies.
Oh, wow.
So you put him in the middle, and you put all your fire wild champions around him. And you will get that very consistently in Vortex because Vortex hits multiple times in each attack.
Yeah.
So you always proc it. And I've seen like, within the 10-second intervals, I've hit like multiple ultimates.
Oh wow,
So
that's crazy.
So it does have a cooldown of 5 seconds for this passive, but it does proc a lot in Vortex.
Well, I think it's like in between 5 seconds for the boss's attack anyways, no? Roughly.
No. It's a little bit less than that.
Is it? Yeah?
It's less. Yeah, it's less than that. But yeah, and his battle skill is also pretty good. He does deal attack penalty 2, which is pretty strong, and you want that on Vortex or any other bosses that you're facing.
Very important, the decrease attack here. It's not like in Raid, right, where you can dodge some bosses without decrease attack. You really need it here to have a solid
even
team.
in endgame, you will need it. Like, decrease attack is such a strong debuff in this game. In Arena, you cannot go wrong with that. So it does have a very wide range for this decrease attack. Not full AoE, but it does hit a lot of, in that 3-dial range, it will hit everybody. And the damage is also decent on the skill. It's not that bad. It is somewhat based on his HP, so you can build him with a lot of HP and it will still do decent amount of damage. But it's not the damage that you need from him. It's basically the support that he's providing of this never-ending ultimates, which is pretty good. Because there are not many units in the game which increase ultimate energy.
Yeah, like it is a very good one. Dispelling all of their buffs. And reducing their ultimate energy by 25%, so that's another good thing too, generally.
Yeah, and his ultimate removes buffs from the enemy, so you can use him on Curse and Ancient Battlefield, and the benefit of him is that he will keep providing that ultimate gauge, so you are able to ultimate faster, you're able to beat the stage faster, or sometimes it does come in a clutch.
Yeah, 100%. Like sometimes when I'm running, like let's just say the flame domain, right? When I need the clans to be on point, the boss always charges faster than my heroes, and I'm like, oh, god damn, it was literally 2 seconds. 2 seconds. That's all I needed faster, to get that done. And a hero like this would definitely help a lot in that situation, as an example,
Yeah. No, he's amazing. Like, even in Vortex, I was playing him. When I played him early on, I could see the difference in the damage that I was doing to bosses. So I just stuck with him.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then we have the final one. I think this is a new one too, if I'm not mistaken. Casper.
Yeah, Casper.
Kind of like a Joker of a...
Yeah, they added a few Joker designs. I think there are a few epics who share this design as well.
Yeah, I've seen some similar ones, yeah.
Yeah, I like the design a lot. This fiery red.
Yeah, it looks
Joker
pretty cool,
hair.
yeah. I like the lantern, the thing that he's keeping in with the heart pumping in, looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool design. He has an amazing attack aura, similar to Flora, with 30% attack in all battles. And all battle auras are really good. Most of the time you're struggling to find the right aura.
Yep, 100%.
And he's actually the second highest damage dealer for me in a Vile team without Flora.
Oh, wow.
So if I exclude Flora, he actually hits pretty hard because he has this passive which he gains 1 stacks of Absurd Charade upon successful Vile check. And this Absurd Charade cannot be dispelled. And you cannot take it off, no boss can take it off, and it increases the damage dealt by 13%. So if you have
13 stacks, huh?
Yeah, so if you have a team of Vile units with Alfie who are successfully doing Vile check all the time, this is going to keep on stacking up.
That's very good, actually.
Yeah, so especially if you have like multi-hitting ultimates with successful Vile check on each one of them, you get all those stacks in one go.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, so his battle skill, he throws 5 daggers at the enemy, each dealing 75% of the attack. But keep in mind that he has that, 169% more extra damage coming from his passive.
So that's gonna be a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and this skill ignores the target's 1% defense for every Absurd Charade.
Yeah. That sounds good because they're 5 hits as well, right? So it's gonna be like very strong single target damage. You know, it's gonna be a burst of damage actually.
Yeah, and even his ultimate, it's a very slow ultimate. That's my only complaint about it. Like if you ever play with him, his ultimate is really slow compared to all other champions. So, but it deals a lot of damage. So he deals like 700% attack damage, and there is a Joker sign that appears, which is this debuff on the enemy for 15 seconds, where he throws like 3 daggers at the enemy upon any ally successful wild check.
That's good.
So it's kind of like a mini Flora, if you think about it, but with no derivative damage.
Yeah.
So you want to build him with a lot of attack and crits, and yeah, he can dish out a lot of damage. He's the second highest damage dealer in a wild comp, without Flora.
Yeah, he does seem like very very powerful for a wild comp, like in terms of damage. So guys, that would do the fire heroes, the legendary ones. This is kind of like how they're working. Keep in mind, you do want to pair them together to achieve max results. Now, it doesn't mean you need to pair only legendaries. You do have strong epics. You do have strong rares that could potentially work in your comp if you don't have access to all the legendary heroes. And yeah, Elf is one of the epics that I'm personally missing, but it will enable you to put on the wild on your heroes much better. So keep him in mind too. And we're gonna move over on Arsalan's channel, guys, where we're gonna talk about the poison heroes, because you can combo some of these, maybe with the wild heroes to just get your 5 elemental bonus later on in the game, and we're gonna have a look to see how are these legendaries looking like. So I'll see you all there.